Hey everybody, what's going on? This is Scott Garber back with the Profluence podcast. Excited to be back in the seat today. Here at Profluence, we are creating an ecosystem for the builders in sports and, making building easy by providing education, access, and support to anybody that's looking to come in here and innovate in the sports space. Today, we're excited to bring on our next guest, a true innovator, one that's really leading the charge from the front, both from the athlete side, the brand side, the media side. But it's not my story to tell. Excited to bring on my man, Maxx Lepselter. Max, how we doing today, my friend?
All good, brother. Excited to be here with one of my favorite people in business in general.
Man, humbled and excited as well, man. So for everyone tuning in for the first time, we're going to go ahead and, sort of do this in three phases. We're going to get to know Max and what he's built over there on the agency side, sort of get that origin story, who he is, and then figure out what they're doing right now. And most importantly, where the business in the industry is going. So Max, my man, give the listeners a little insight to, who you are and how you started to go ahead and build the agency that you're running today.
Crazy, dude. It goes back second generation in the business, man. I fortunate enough to grow up in it. Took a very different path to get where I am, and a very unique path and a very humbling path and appreciative altogether. So my father, Mark, actually represented Tiki and Rondé Barber during their playing careers. He started off in the he got into business actually through Lawrence Taylor. He was Lawrence's manager right at the end of Lawrence's career. Started off in the catering business, was running his restaurant, LT's, a sports bar in East Rutherford. Started doing a couple of little marketing things for him. And then his first major breakthrough in the industry was actually getting LT in Any Given Sunday as Shark Levay, which was absolutely crazy.
Wow.
And then from there, between Tiki and Rondé, and then David Patton, fortunately passed, but caught Tom Brady's first ever touchdown pass in the Super Bowl in '01 versus the Rams, if I'm not mistaken. And then around 2008, 2009, Mark started transitioning into the broadcast representation side, where he now currently still sits as, I would say, probably the largest independent broadcasting agent representing guys like Nate Burleson amongst about 100 others. And for myself, growing up in that time, going crazy enough, I said to my brother literally yesterday, next week I will be traveling to Orlando, which I'm going to be seeing you. It's Pro Bowl 2025. I went to my first Pro Bowl in 2005, Tiki Barber's first year, and Rondé's second Pro Bowl, making it. So to me, it truly comes full circle when I think about, like, I have pictures with some of my favorite players growing up 20 years ago, and being able to do that 20 years later is incredible. So we'll fast forward now through that time. I've been doing this now full time about 10 years. Started my agency 7 years ago, Maxx Management, separate of my father's. We have a very strong strategic relationship, but I get to, he said to me after my first job with our mutual friend, Chaz Servino, Chaz and I did some stuff together, and I was ready to kind of take the next step into the sports realm. And my father said, listen, I as much as I would love for you to come join me, like, broadcasting is not where I think you want to be. And I think for yourself, go into your own business, go build it. I got your back. I'm going to help you. I'm going to guide you. Like, this shit, I think you're going to have so much success. Don't go into the corporate world of the agency side. Go build it. I started it, never looked back. And when I started it, the objective was truly to become an all-encompassing agency off field at that point. And again, really started primarily NFL player marketing. It
Yep.
wasn't really like full sports. I went into it really wanting to be a NFL marketing agent and build the all-encompassing off-field aspect through different things that I learned with my time with Chaz on how digital and social really was probably the Trojan horse of the next layer of where sports marketing was going at that time, around 2016, if you will, 2017, and wanting to start incorporating the PR side, the branding side, the venture side. Only side I never got deep into was the philanthropic, because I think that's a whole beast in and of itself from that standpoint. And company started, and fast forward 7 years later, and change, and We are now a full service, all encompassing agency, but now talent across the board. The only thing, again, we don't do any of the player contracts on the field. We are hoping to start really getting into NIL collective representation because, again, when NIL started, I'm going to go backwards and forwards for a second, but when NIL started in 2020 or what was it, 2020, if I'm not mistaken?
Yep, 2021.
2021. It was supposed to be about marketing representation for collegiate athletes. It wasn't supposed to be contract representation. So I saw a lot of these agencies that were not even known for doing marketing were diving deep in NIL, representing players. And I looked at it as somewhat of a facade of, hey, we're trying to work with these guys now to get them when they come out. So I'm looking at it where, hey, we have in-house counsel. We have the relationships and are working on marketing. We're working on marketing and endorsements and brand building and everything that goes into building a player's off-field life. Why don't we get into the collective representation? So in 2025, that's somewhere we're looking to go. Currently representing about, I would say 40 to 50 talent holistically comprised. Some are marketing endorsements only, some are full circle management, some are marketing endorsements, PR, ventures, and everything in between. So, that's kind of where I would say we currently sit, and just seeing the evolution of it, the growth of it, and the pieces I'm continuing to bring in-house, and the services, and I think just all the tentacles that we want to have internally. Hence how, you and I have built this relationship of just networking, relationships, integrity, growth, sustainability, diversification. Like, all of these things are intertwined when it comes to sports business.
Sure.
And that's where I find us in the center of, and that's where I know Profluence in a different capacity is in the center of.
No, man, I appreciate it. And it's always neat to hear that origin story. I think, we the billboards of social media and all the glitz and glamour of all the amazing work that you guys are doing. Sometimes we don't always know how we get there, right? And I think we see that, I was at the PGA show yesterday and we were just talking about this where, there's a lot of mechanics, both good and bad, to get us to the place that we are today. And we're watching growth in sports as a whole. It's really important to understand how all of us sort of got to the place that we are. Now, Max, I'm curious, as you're leading the charge on this business, the agency world is changing quite a bit. The sports landscape is, changing quite a bit. As a leader, how are you evaluating a fast-paced landscape and, trying to make sure you're steering your ship in the right direction and not get, caught by bright, shiny objects? Because it seems like there's a lot of them out there right now. So always curious, like, how you're, positioning yourself for success as we go into 2025 with so many moving pieces.
Love the question, and I'm going to use a word I referenced a couple minutes ago. I think versatility and diversification, and I say that because you're right. This landscape has changed so much. It changed from when I started in it, in just sports marketing. It's changed since NIL over the last 4 years, and especially I personally think the percentage of NFL player marketability in that world has the percentage continues to, I think, take a bit of a nosedive, because a lot of players always want to have marketing, but are you active on social? Are you willing to be active on social? Are you willing to actually build a brand? At the end of the day, I would say how you quantify and how brands quantify ROI when it comes to influencer partnerships, talent partnerships, athlete partnerships, etc. Like, the creator ROI and the metrics and I think the price point is very different from the NFL player or the professional athlete. The professional athlete comes with a lot more gravitas outside of just a social presence. So from that standpoint, once you go outside of, I think, a lot of the NFLPA partners, a lot of the main brands, the buyers that are connected in that space, how are you selling top tier athletes, or even, hey, these guys are great players on the field, but do they actually have a presence off the field? And I think that landscape has shown us you have to diversify it. And a big part of what we're doing, what we're seeing is we are going into the sports adjacent creator landscape. We are doing things differently from that realm where we don't want to just depend on doing athlete focused partnerships. We are going into the sector of collaborating with a Profluence, a Nucleus Network, the Players Impact to get our clients involved in different projects, whether it's the venture space, whether it's the real estate space. We are trying to set up and help them grow businesses. So we're looking at it as when we started and the growth over the 7 years. It's not just about how can we formulate talent partnerships, how can we create maybe talent experiential or appearances, et cetera. Like something that I know we're collaborating on is our clients Marquez Valdez-Scantling's fashion shows, year number 2 in St. Pete, like to really build out a full-fledged fashion show that I think is really, and it has nothing to do really even in the athlete space. This has to do with brands and growth and just relationships, networking, and having a client that really in his post-career wants to go deep into this landscape, building those pillars around it. Like right now, he's at International Fashion Week, collaborating with NFL Style right now. Marquez will be here along with 7 other clients in a couple of weeks for New York Fashion Week. So I'm looking at it, and the team I've put in place really getting into different avenues of the business, bringing in an individual like Jake Duhane, who I've known for 10 plus years. I was an intern at a company that he was managing PR for, and we maintained a relationship. He respected what I was building and my vision. He is now VP of Integrated Marketing, Brand and Strategy for Maxx Management. So now we are representing brands as well, helping them. I think one thing that I've seen, and I'll say there is a brand in these, we'll say in the QSR category that we did a couple deals with this year. Big franchise growing. They have about 120 plus franchise locations in the US in the sandwich category. And the CEO, fantastic guy, brilliant. Like this athlete sector, the fact that he even deals with the athlete partnerships, given the magnitude of where his business is sure. Incredible. But I said to him, you did 5 NFL partnerships this year, 6 NFL partnerships. None of them respectfully were executed correctly. Like the assets were not utilized properly. You did not have a true strategy on how to amplify it, how to leverage it with the growth in these other states, cities that you're opening up your franchise locations in. So to have a guy like Jake now who can come in and say, my first train of thought is no longer just selling talent. It's, okay, how can we, if a company has interest in talent, how can we help them position that so they can properly and organically leverage it? And to have somebody who can put that strategy together, I feel like puts us in a position where that brand is going to want to come to us for that service. They're going to want to come to us for their overall talent procurement, given our connectivity in the space. And that's another, I would say that is another service that we're really trying to build upon, given that we are not a professional, we don't rep any players on contract. I've cultivated so many strong relationships with competitors, peers, companies that we can say, hey, we have a relationship here. If you are not talking to them, happy to bring an opportunity their way. Or hey, because of the fact we don't have that overlap or that conflict of interest, come to us with your budget. Give us kind of what you're looking for, and we'll build out a big talent list of talent we think make the most sense within your budget, and we'll go handle the contracting, the execution, the negotiation, top to bottom. So we look at it. I think all these little pieces are really bringing this all-encompassing off-field agency that I wanted to build 7 years ago.
It's so neat.
That's how I would say we are really in 2025 going into how we are adapting to, I think, some of these different things going on in the business. I apologize.
No, don't apologize. It's super neat. And one thing that I've always respected about, you and the way you conduct the business is it's always been around access, and it's always been around resources. And, I think that as we move further into this, to this age of sports, it's all about collaboration. And I think that, competition is healthy, and there's always going to be, competitors that are doing very similar things, but we're watching this communal movement happen amongst sports. And it's really neat when, you find movers and shakers that are willing to go ahead and find ways to collaborate to create a better product, both for the brands, for the athletes, and for the
Hmm.
end user. And so I'm really curious, as you guys continue to grow and scale, where do you see the market going? You touched like 2016, 17, it was sort of the age of social media. We just watched TikTok go down and now it's back up. What are some of the trends that you're seeing with the players off the field that get you excited, or, that you think have real legs to them?
For sure. I think from the social landscape, I'll be honest with you, I haven't thought that deep into where I see the world being in 2030 when it comes to athlete and influencer marketing. It's something I should be thinking about more and more, given how quickly I think 5 years have gone and how long we've already been in NIL. But I think in regards to different things we're seeing, and that I think continue to build the foundations of the next steps, like whether it's existing clients right now, or I have friends of mine that were former players that I've done business with on and off, over the years, that I maintain a good relationship. Guys like Devon Kennard, who I watch what Devon is doing. This guy had a 9-year NFL career. Did well for himself financially, but built a real estate portfolio while he was playing. Now that's all he does full time now. He's
Yep.
got an enormous real estate portfolio, syndicate. He's got a loan business, et cetera, et cetera. Has written 2 books on financial literacy. Is now a board member on Pro Athlete Community, which I think is another awesome group with current players, retired players, the
Shout out
guys
to
that
my
have
boy
built.
Matt Joyce. He's doing a bunch of work with those guys. Really cool to see what Pack is
Yeah,
doing for the athlete space.
100% love what they're doing. My guys, I like our boy, mind the Jazz's guy, Justin Pugh,
Yep.
what he's doing in real estate, how he's crossing over. Like Justin's focused on real estate business, and he's kind of integrated himself with Whistle Sports, Underdog Fantasy, going a different realm. Like, this is something else I love that you're seeing, and also even from my father Mark and I, where we're enjoying some cool opportunities to collaborate. It's not just standard broadcasting, because you're seeing these digital platforms. You're seeing Sportsbook launch, having the Kay Adams's FanDuel TV through and through. Like, you're seeing so much crossover in marketing and broadcasting and media and creator. Like, the world is just, like you said it perfectly, communal. Like, everything is just really coming together. And then that world intersecting with the business side, I just think there's so much there. Another thing I love seeing as of late, and we're diving deeper into it through strategic relationships across the board. I'm loving franchise opportunities with talent, equity opportunities with talent. Obviously, everybody has seen what LeBron and KD have done. KD 35 Ventures, LeBron with obviously Mav Carter and all his business ventures. But respectfully, it's a lot easier to have that up to take on equity-based opportunities when you are those guys. Obviously, you have to do them properly,
Yep.
but seeing how many athletes are looking to get into that, leveraging their name, image, likeness, instead of just saying, I'll take a paycheck, whatever that number is. Like, if I actually believe in this business, in this product, in whatever this is, I have vested interest in it now. Like, I want to be a part of their growth. I want to influence this. I want to truly help move the needle outside of just taking a paycheck. So I think it's also finding that common ground when we're talking to companies that are looking to have talent become equity partners, like making sure that they have a lot of upside, but the downside's not terrible. Like, I don't want guys wasting their time getting zero point 0.0 out of something that they're going to end up putting their time, resources, energy into. But
Sure.
that is another thing that I have seen substantial growth in the last couple of years. I think is equity-based opportunities with primarily athletes. I think you're going to start seeing it with creators as well, more and more, because at the end of the day, creators are the one that truly move the needle in terms of, I think, sales, KPIs, et cetera. Like, if you want athletes, you're doing it for a majority of visibility, unless that athlete is deeply, deeply ingrained in their social media and their social.
Yeah, no, I mean, look at it. It's really interesting to hear these perspectives, and I think that we're gonna continue to watch influence come from multiple different realms, right? But the world just seems like they're all getting really close to one another. Influencers are athletes. Athletes are becoming influencers. It's really neat to watch some of the emerging leagues, right? Where now we're shaking up what was the traditional Big Five, and now we're watching this sort of convergence of athletes and influencers, and now they're competing together. So I think like these worlds are going to continue to slam together in interesting ways. But Max, while I got you here, this is something that we talk about a lot, as NIL has sort of, disrupted college sports in a way that I don't think we could have ever anticipated. 5, 6 years ago. Now the talent pipeline and the race to talent is getting younger and younger and younger. And so I'm curious, like, as you guys think about developing talent, as you guys think about identifying talent earlier in the cycle, are you guys working with high school athletes? Are you looking at middle school athletes? Like, how young do you guys look, or do you typically stay more in that college pro realm and let them be a little bit more developed? Always curious, like, how you guys think about that, as there's a lot of people trying to come in, to work with these talents.
Yeah, fantastic question again. I think as of late, we have been focusing on, there's two buckets, I think, of let's start with collegiate athletes real quick. I think there's two buckets of that on how you are going to recruit. You're going to have your one bucket that are collegiate athletes, but primarily really social creators. They're playing a collegiate sport. I don't know if they're going to have real success at the next level, but I think they have long-term opportunity in being a sports adjacent creator.
Sure.
So you have that pipeline. Then you have the standard pipeline of guys that are truly going to be your first, second, your top tier draft picks that are going to go to the top schools and that are going to have real marketability at the next level. I think we have primarily been focusing on the collegiate side and just trying to get a better horse in the race from that standpoint, because I think a lot of the prominent corporate agencies, through a lot of their pipelines relationships, have truly been able to monopolize a big chunk of that talent that are going to go to the next level. Not talking about, again, the other bucket of creator, but I think for us now, understanding this further and further and understanding that we are going to have to really dive deeper in and utilizing the resources and the connections, as you referenced a little while ago. I think we do want to go deeper into the high school pipeline and understanding that the community and the network we have built, we should be viewed as a fantastic fit for high school athletes that need a team and need management going into the college and the collegiate process. We have the relationships to help them in every which way, shape, and form, not only negotiating their collective, but creating relationships around them in, obviously, of course, the brand sector, helping them build their brand. We have the network to help them understand growth, whether they are going to have major success at the next level, or again, they're going to go into any other vertical, but helping them get in front of whether it's going to be in the business world, in the venture world, helping manage, just what we'll call it lifestyle, hospitality, relationships, and the ability to truly have a team that is more management going into that process. Like, at the end of the day, the collectives are, I look at the collectives somewhat similar to how a first NFL contract is basically somewhat slotted. Like, I can't speak in depth on that because that's not my world.
Sure.
But a lot of us in this business know your first NFL contract, pending where you go, is slotted. Obviously, all the great agents understand certain stipulations and certain, I think, triggers that can help build it to maximize that first contract. But after the collective negotiation, at the end of the day, these players need more management. They need people that are truly helping them in every phase of their life. And that's what we do. And that's where I think we differentiate from all the prominent contract agencies that are looking to represent high school players into throughout college and the whole process.
Yeah. I mean, look, man, I'm just
hopefully
smiling
that's
on
like
this.
Hopefully that makes sense.
No, it makes sense, and I think what's really neat is, like, again, I said it at the top of the interview, but like, I mean, at Profluence, we believe that, education, access, and support are the three key pillars to be able to go ahead and navigate any industry, right? And so, for us, it's in the sports business world, but you guys are providing that to athletes and parents, downstream. And I think having those three things allow us to move faster and more accurately, right? And there's a lot of things that take place in this world. Like we hear about all the really cool stories, but there's also a lot of stories that, don't go so well. And so I think that having the right team and the right recipe, puts you at a better chance for success, time and time again. Max, one thing, there's so much activity, and everyone's trying to engage with brands, right? Whether it's, linear sponsorships or underwriting, cool media projects, but not a lot of folks know how these brands operate, right? And, what exactly they're looking for. And so, with you having such a tenure of talking to CMOs and executing really high level brand deals, what advice would you give to the listeners that are, looking to connect with these folks or, trying to make their mark in the game? Any tips like as, that you guys have found that work with when navigating the brand ecosystem?
Absolutely. I think one of the main things that I've learned, and it's a couple quick things. I think for myself, I knew this landscape very early on. I always enjoyed representing talent, selling talent. But one thing I've enjoyed, and one thing I think is important, you have to have a creative side. You have to have a creative tentacles. Brands want to see that, and they don't want to just see there's thousands of agencies out there, contract agencies, marketing agencies, et cetera, that are looking to get brand deals. Everybody sends a list of, hey, here's my clients, let us know. No brand likes to see that. Go to a brand with actual thought. Go to them with an idea. Go to them with a concept that at least they know you are thoroughly thinking about, why does this client make sense with this brand, this opportunity? That is number one. Number two, I always like to ask the questions before just trying to sell. I want to know, what is your brand doing? What are you guys doing in terms of and we're talking about in relation to talent. Sure. What is your strategy? What is your social strategy? Are you doing experiential sponsorship? Where do you guys want to be seen? What are the verticals? Is it the KPIs? Is it visibility? Is it going to be sales driven? What platforms? Like, I like asking questions and understanding first, getting that info. And then I can go back and talk to my team and say, okay, based on that, it's not always about the biggest name that's on our client roster. Who actually makes sense for what they are trying to do? And I think that's been a huge part of some of the different opportunities, a huge part for the opportunity that we've gotten and where we have positioned ourselves. The other aspect is cultivating true relationships. I think for an independent agency, that's where I humbly can say I have spent a lot of time and resources trying to really, really develop personal relationships with the right people in the space. And it's not so always, what do you have for my clients? It's, what can I do for you? Even if it's not directly associated with XYZ, hey, let's build an actual relationship. We have a lot of different connections, a lot of different relationships. Is there anywhere I can help you? Is there any connective tissue you need to help, whether it's for this existing opportunity, whatever that is? And from there, I've been truly able to position, I think, my clients to be a part of, we'll say current clients and past clients, with that said, to be a part of really incredible campaigns, really incredible opportunities. A former client of ours who we no longer work with, but this individual was a part of Oakley's NFL partnership in 2021. He was a rookie defensive player, and he was a part of a national campaign with five or six total talent in that campaign. The other four or five were all pros the year before. And this guy was a rookie second round defensive player. And through the relationship that we built, we were able to position him in that kind of partnership. So I think with that, or really, really building relationships and taking the time, like check in on people. Like, it's not always, hey, like, for example, a lot of the individuals running the NFL sponsorships, a lot of the individuals that have connective tissue around different things going on for Super Bowl, I try and maintain a relationship where checking in on them and their family and just seeing how they're doing, wishing them happy holidays, just to continue showing I really want to have a relationship with you. I'm going to be in this business. My company is here to stay. You're going to be in your role. I want to make sure that we actually have a personal relationship and mutual respect.
I think that's a nail in the coffin, man. I mean, relationships are so much of this game, and it takes you years and decades to build a reputation, and it takes you minutes to blow it up, right? So you always have to be maintaining that, manicuring it, and really being genuine. I think that's one thing that as we've continued to build together, it's the authenticity, the vulnerability, all the right things that ultimately just create a great product on the other side. I mean, dude, this has been so cool, just getting a glimpse into what you've built, how you've built it, more importantly, why you've built it. As we turn the corner, what final advice or parting words do you have for our listeners, both from Maxx and then, from the agency side?
I think encompassing everything we've kind of touched on today. And the other thing I will say is be a sponge, listen more than speak. And I think that's something my father told me a long time ago. That's something that several other mentors I look up to in the business have always said, because there's so much to learn. There's so much advice you can give, so much information you can give, but there's so much more that you don't know. So make sure that you are really listening, and constantly just conduct yourself in a professional manner where people always look at you, regardless of wherever you stand in the industry. I always want people to say, hey, we like doing business with him. He does shit properly. He does things the right way. His company carries themselves in a very professional manner, and always just want to have that respect amongst my peers.
Isn't that it, man? I think that we're going to take it home on that one. And we always say here at Profluence, we put great people together and watch greatness happen. And Maxx, you truly embody that. For everybody that wants to get in touch with you, learn more about what you're doing on the representation side, or connect with you for future opportunities, where can they find you?
You can find us on our website, our social, maxmgmt.co website, our social, Maxx MGMT. My email is max@maxmgmt.co. And always looking and happy to connect with different people, especially hopefully for the listeners, given all the different things we're doing. So we appreciate our partners at Profluence, and excited to build in 2025.
Let's go, baby. Yeah, we appreciate you guys as well, and excited for everything on the horizon. For all you listeners, be sure to reach out to Maxx. He's doing incredible things in the space. And until next time, guys, continue to be great. Talk soon.